let's get to the video so that
Oh,
my magpie-like tendencies for looking at bright and shiny objects doesn't have any effect on the quality of
your
today's
your
webinar.
Hitler distractions.
Let's move on. Let's move on. So let me get the video queued up and sit back, have a cup of coffee, and marvel at the new Agorapulse.
Well, the challenge of keeping on top of all of your different social networks today. All right, so we're going to talk today about social inbox zero, the concept of managing all of the different conversations that happen in social so that we don't let things fall through the cracks. And so that those conversations don't become such a time vampire that we don't have time to do our work. Now, certainly those of us that are in content marketing, face a bit of a dilemma. Social channels, for me, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, these sorts of channels, they provide an avenue for us to reach a huge community. Most of you have discovered us one way or the other through one of those channels. But they are not just broadcast channels. They're places where conversations happen. They're social networks. In other words, there should be a dialogue happening. There should be a conversation happening. But once your community starts reaching the hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of individuals, the amount of dialogue that happens in any of these channels can become overwhelming. Certainly for brands, it is the case where there could be thousands of messages happening on a daily basis that should all be attended. Now, for you and I, and for most of us, the thought of having to go every day into our Twitter, into our Facebook, into our Instagram, and to comment and to reply to each and every comment that is in there, which is really what should happen, is everybody should be honored, would be an overwhelming amount of work. So enter the social media dashboard. Agorapulse is the one that we use, but Hootsuite, there's a variety of different social media dashboards that help us out by consolidating all of the different conversations into some form of a feed so that we can manage those conversations without having to migrate from channel to channel. And the more tools that they give us to manage the conversations, the farther ahead we are. And Agorapulse, which is our tool of choice, managing all of our conversations here at Dottotech, they've recently updated their tool, and I thought it would be well worth sharing with you folks. So just to that's an overview of what social media dashboards are. The social channels that we're going to be talking about today, Agorapulse supports Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Google+. It's still around. And soon to be YouTube. I said Google+, and my Google Home just talked to me and said, I'm sorry, I don't understand, because it thought I said, hey, Google. Okay, so that's funny. It's like when Siri suddenly pops up. At any rate, I digress. They are soon to include YouTube. Actually, I am going to be beta testing their YouTube management tool over the next couple of weeks. Super excited about that. I'll definitely share it with you once it's all out. So if you want more information about Agorapulse, drop by their website, sign up. You can start a free trial. It works for small enterprises like ours, and it scales all the way up to agency size. So it can manage some fairly significant amount of traffic. But let's take a look at it. So what happens with Agorapulse is you sign in, and I have it configured for 4 different networks. I have it configured for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Now you can have it, of course, it's set up with multiple accounts within the same social network as well. So if we had 3 or 4 different Twitter accounts, we could have them all here. And if you look at the interface, if you look at the user interface, what you see is something that really reflects, and one of the things that I really appreciate about it is it looks like an email client, is where we have our accounts, then we have all of our messages, and then we have here in the center section we have the conversations happening where we can work with each message. And then along the top we get an idea for what it will do for us. It will allow us to go to the inbox, which manages our conversations, listening if we want to track any sorts of conversations, publishing, which we'll be talking about in a few moments, which is a boon. The publishing tools have really improved in Agorapulse. That's one of the biggest changes that they've made, allowing us to not just manage the conversations, but also to use it as a part of our publishing schedule. Managing your fans and followers, very powerful reports, and then if you want to integrate other apps with it. And rather than spend too much time on a variety of different networks, we're going to jump right to the one that we use it really for the most here on Dottotech, and that is our Twitter account, managing our Twitter account. So in most businesses, you'll probably have more than one person who needs to deal with your social channels. So making sure that any tool that you use supports multi-users and perhaps different permission levels or different approval levels. That's an important factor because all of these communications are outward bound. So you want to make sure that the proper person is responding to all of the conversations. And that's one of the things I really like about this tool. So let's just take a look at how it works now. This is in the new interface. So here we've got somebody that posted this. So we're going, I have 40 messages here. Now we didn't clear our messages yesterday. So this is about a day and a half's worth of tweets that have been sent to us that we should be responding to. And as I look at the screen itself, I get an idea of, I can see the text of the tweet. I can reply with the basic, or I can respond with the basic right away. I can say, I like it, which is a way of kind of acknowledging the person has sent something to me, or I can review it. Now, if something's reviewed, this is what's cool. If something is reviewed, it is just basically checked off and put away. So that if we have multiple people managing the account, they don't see that tweet. They know somebody's dealt with it and it's been addressed. So it could be as simple as something that's just, okay, that's nothing important, we just click on it. Or if it's something that I reply to and respond to, it's been taken care of. Somebody else doesn't have to see it. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because that's a big part of what Agorapulse does, is it doesn't allow things to drop through the cracks. If I open this email or this tweet right now, take a look at it. So, so this is a person responding to Microsoft integrating LinkedIn. So this is a tweet that in my content curation that I sent out, and he's commenting, with LinkedIn integration, MS Dynamics CRM will get teeth to bite SAP a little bit harder. So that doesn't really require a comment from me, but what I will do is I will say, I like that comment. So I'm just going to click here on the little heart, and then I'm going to say reviewed. So now anybody else looking at this tweet, looking at our account, won't see that tweet. Here's another one. This is all these guys. Okay, here's another tweet that I put forward about these new autonomous flying taxis in Dubai that they're testing out. And somebody just commented, wow. So I can now reply. See how it kind of works like email, where it's gone to the next automatic one automatically after I've said that, after I've reviewed it. So now I'm going to say, indeed, pretty amazing. So this is just going to be a comment back. And when I send it, it then says, okay, it's been dealt with. So it reviews it automatically. Now here's Elaine, and she's, let's see what Elaine has to say here. Elaine says, I get to see Dottotech soon, who's coming to speak in, I'm going to speak in Ottawa. So Elaine is commenting on, so this is a person that I actually know and a friend. Now, here's something interesting. Say this was not a person that I know, I'm going to do a speaking gig in Ottawa, so they're responding to a tweet about that. But instead, it was, say, another team member, I could assign this tweet to somebody else on my team. Watch here. This is so cool. I could assign this to Jen, and I could add a note to it saying, hey, Jen, this person's looking forward to you coming, if it was Jen doing it, say, for me. Or I don't even have to add a note at all, but it's something that can be then assigned and somebody else would have to deal with it. I'm actually not going to do that because I'm just going to reply instead myself. There we go. So the key to these assignments is really pretty important. It means that the proper person can deal with it. So often when we're doing our social media management, Jen, who you saw me setting up that assignment for, Jen will go through all of the content. She'll go through all of the tweets that we have, and she'll reply to ones that are easy answers where people are asking where a link is or something like that. She will just basically acknowledge the ones where people are thanking us for following them or kind of innocuous comments. But where it's something that I need to deal with, something that's a direct connection with me or a question that she can't understand or something that's significant to our business that is beyond her ken, then she can assign that to me. And then it comes in for me. See, I've got this thing here called assigned to me. Now, there's nothing that's assigned to me because I deal with those all right away. But if there's something that I have to deal with, it will come into the inbox and I will see immediately that it's demarked as assigned to me. That, to me, is one of the most powerful factors within using Agorapulse is the ability for us to quickly go through all of the tweets or all of the social contacts, address them. Only one person deal with them, so it's only touched once. One of the principles of Inbox Zero for email is you just touch any piece of email once. You should just touch any tweet or any social post once, as far as the ones that are in communication with you. It's either approved, acknowledged, replied to, or assigned to somebody, and that's it. There should be no, it's sitting there, and 2 or 3 times that we open the software, it's still sitting there kind of lurking and waiting for something to happen. No, we can go through. And when I go through and manage all of the tweets, I go through from beginning to end. So there's 37. Normally speaking, I'm not going to do it with you right now, but normally speaking, I would go right through until there was none in the inbox, so they were all taken care of. And if I happen to stop early and I only took care of 20 out of the 37, when Jen logs in and takes a look at her Agorapulse account, there'll only be 17 messages left because all the 20 that I've dealt with will have been addressed and she won't even see them. That's one of the beauties of Agorapulse, managing these conversations. Now, before we go on, we're going to jump over to the publishing, the publishing menu, and this is an area that Agorapulse has always done okay at. They've really upped their game. So, if you look at your social strategy, one of the things you have to do on an ongoing basis is publish to multiple social platforms. So what this does is now, what the publishing platform allows us to do is, A, create posts and content that we can schedule for publishing. But when we take the time to create a post, quite often we'll have a graphic, we'll have a link, we'll have some content in it that might need to be shared to multiple social networks at the same time. So rather than having to go in and create this post for each network, now with Agorapulse, we can create one post or be in one interface, create posts for multiple networks and schedule them all into those networks all at the same time. It's really pretty much a thing of beauty. So let's just go. Let's create... actually, let me put it into a week at a glance because I think it's a little bit easier. Now, this isn't something that I do nearly as much as Jen does. Jen does almost all of our publishing. But let's say for tomorrow that we want to schedule a post. So I'm going to click here to schedule a post. And you can see here I can choose what channel it's going to be posted to. So we're going to post it to Twitter. And let's say we're also going to post it to our Facebook profile. So it's going to be an interesting post. And I'm going to say attach a video or a graphic, or I'm going to put a link into it. So let's just attach a graphic to it, a quick graphic to it. We'll add an image. I'll grab the image from, what am I going to do? I'm just going to grab a quick little image. I don't know. What's that one? Is that going to do something good? I hope it's something good. Oh, it's me fishing. Awesome. Me fishing. An interesting post about me fishing. Okay, so it's going to be going to Facebook, and it tells me how many words I have left in the post. We can add all of the links that we have, etc. Once you've composed the post, you can choose to publish it now. You can add it to your queue, or you can schedule it. Now, the queue is interesting. The queue is fantastic for reposting information, because if we choose to add something to the queue, we can actually say that it's going to be put into our queue or put into our flow of our posts going out X number of times over X period of time. And I'll show you more on that in a moment. But we can also choose a time to schedule it. And if I choose a time to schedule it, I can ask it to schedule it once or to repeat the content, say republishing it every 5 days for 5 times. Now, this wouldn't be an ideal way to post to Facebook. But for Twitter, where the information is going through so fast, this is a great strategy. Whenever we post anything that's sharing an upcoming event or one of our videos, whenever we post it to Twitter, we want it to be republished multiple times over a period of time because the Twitter feed just goes by so fast. So this ability to be able to republish posts is just a tremendous tool as far as I'm concerned. This is one of the things that makes the new version of Agorapulse a really valuable tool, because now the time spent creating your posts, creating your content, can be applied to different social channels, and it can be applied multiple times to those channels. So that just reduces the number of times that we have to touch the content before it gets shared out to our community. Now, I know you'll have some other questions about this, and to be honest, I know how to use this at a basic level. Jen is a master of it. So when we get to the Q&A at the end of this video, any questions you have about this, and I'm sure there'll be many, Jen is the one that is going to be best able to answer them. So this is, if you take a look now, this is our actual publishing schedule. Now, something interesting happens here is all of the posts that Jen has scheduled are here. They're the ones in purple. They're the ones that are upcoming. This is today here that we see all of the different posts happening here today. But if we even look at yesterday, you see that there's a variety of different posts. Now, these are posts that I've put in place and I've published, and I actually use Buffer. This is the content curation side of the Dottotech brand. So these are typically tweets that I have that I'm interested in, that I think people will be interested in who are following us, and they're a series of those tweets, as well as our own content all in here. And we can see each of those posts here. And actually, if I click on any of them, so this is kind of a marketing an old ass Dottotech. You can see the response that anybody had, that people have to them, when it was published, etc. So you can actually see the details of any of those posts quite just by clicking on any of the posts. So that gives you an idea of kind of the overall publishing schedule. Before I leave it, let me just go back to that calendar view one more time of the week, so that to make sure that you understand. So I'll point out one other thing. When we talk about the queue, this is the queue here. These are the ones that we have scheduled. So if we put something at the end of the queue, it'll just be put at the back end of that queue. So it'll be kind of the next in line after the queue runs. So I actually have two queues running, if you think about it. We have a queue from Agorapulse, which you see here. Then we have the queue that's happening from Buffer of content that I have, that I'm curating. And we've shown you that process before in an earlier video, in an earlier webinar, but that's part of our content curation strategy that we work with here on Dottotech. So, but now Agorapulse is a major player in the planning of all of our own internal content that we share. You also can see a really nice feature which talks about the fans and followers who are in any of your accounts, and you get an idea of who they are and how engaged they are with you. So this is a way for you to see who the people that spend the most time sharing your content and working with your brand. So you can see, and you get an idea for their social reach as well. So right here is Tim here, and I see his description here on Twitter. He retweeted one of my tweets just 14 minutes ago, and they tell you what the badge is here. This is a person who's retweeted your post, and this is a person who has mentioned you. So we see how engaged these different individuals are with us as we scroll our way through. And that's kind of fun. This is like seeing the people who are your biggest fans and followers. But it gives you some good information. Oh, look, Agorapulse themselves. They both retweet us and they follow and they mention us, which is good because they promoted this webinar for us as well, which we appreciate. So you get some additional content about your fans, followers. Now, where this becomes super valuable, I would say, is not just when we're doing it in a small environment like the Dottotech environment, but think about if you are an agency or you're managing multiple social accounts, being able to see the people who are engaged and involved with your different brands and being able to identify them. And even somebody just stepping in who hasn't necessarily worked with that brand before, being able to, as they're replying to all of the different tweets, etc., be able to see that, oh, this is a person who's been really engaged with this brand. So it really gives you the background information about what's happening with the social channel, as well as the ability to communicate with the channel at the same time. It's pretty impressive. And the final thing I'm going to walk you through is the reports. And the reports are pretty detailed. It tells you, spending some time in reports tells you all about your engagement, about what's happening with your channel. So this is my Twitter account. So this is how large our following is. We're up to 54,000. And you can see we had a day here where we actually ended up losing a few followers. I don't know what happened that day. But this is our growth on a daily basis over the week. These are how many tweets we've published. And it tells you how it's trending. And you can see our internal tweets versus retweets. All of that information is there. How much engagement and conversation we have. So you're going to be looking to see how these different metrics are trending as you work your way through the content. How much awareness you have. So these become really valuable to social media managers, especially if you're trying to grow your brand within any specific channel. You can see if your efforts, the efforts and the marketing efforts that you're doing, as far as awareness and as far as connecting to your community, are working. So we have global statistics, But they also have content-specific statistics where you can see how individual pieces of content are working. So here we have, this is a post I made about the world's first head transplant to be carried out in China. So you can see how many different retweets and how many different likes there are on that comment. So you can see how your different posts are being consumed by your community. Again, relevant information that tells you what's working and what's not working in your social space. So the whole idea behind Social Inbox Zero is the ability to make sure that all of your community feels validated, that their comments to you are being, first of all, you want to know what people are saying, but you also want to make sure your community knows that you value their input. The only way you can do that is by responding in an orderly fashion with appropriate responses coming back, and by being able to react to the comments that they're delivering to you. So you need a tool that will manage those conversations. When those conversations are happening in so many different places at so many different times, and perhaps being managed by multiple different people within your team, a tool that gives you all of these analytics, all of these insights, all of this ability to be able to manage the conversation effectively and intelligently, that is a tool worth considering. For us, Agorapulse makes a huge difference in how our community feels about us and how we feel about our community and what we know about our community. It might be worth checking out for you. So let's jump in and take a look at the questions now.
All right. I am back. I think I'm back with everything. Good. Hey, Jen.
Hi, I'm back too.
Good. We seem to go fairly smoothly through. I was auditing the chat. Great questions. Really good questions coming up. But the technical issues seem to have ironed out as well for the most part. We had one or two people that had a few little issues, but for the most part, pretty stable today. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Seemed pretty smooth. Wasn't
that great? As I'm going through, and I say the word Google, and I've got one of these Google homes, and it starts. That happens to me occasionally on the phone with Siri doing it, but Google. Yeah.
Oh, do you have the Hey Siri thing?
I've got everything. I can talk to all my devices.
Oh, that's
They listen better than anybody else in my family. I look at my devices as family now because they're the family that listens to me. My dog doesn't listen, and nobody else listens. So.
Oh, the drama of Steve Dotto.
Before we get to the questions, let's just quickly let you folks know if you're finding today's webinar valuable, that is great news. If you want to share it with somebody, that's wonderful. You're going to be sent a replay link shortly after after we're done here today, and there'll be you actually get two replays. The first replay link you're going to get automatically is going to be a basically what we call a replica replay, which is coming from Webinar Jam, and you'll be able to view it, but you can't fast forward and stuff in it. You kind of got to watch it the way it was originally delivered. So it's like watching the webinar again, and that's a link that you can share, and it's going to be available for 48 hours after the webinar is over. I'll also be creating a YouTube video which has the webinar content in it. We edit it down, trim some of the fat out of it, and that you can of course fast forward in because it's in YouTube. And again, that's going to be available for 48 hours as well. Once the webinars have been up for 48 hours, we pull them from public consumption, and then they're put into our webinar archives. Now we've got an archive now in Thinkific. This is our 33rd webinar, or 33rd webinar. So we've got all of these webinars, which are great tutorials available, and they are there for the use of our patrons. Patreon is a crowdfunding site. Dottotech is supported. The reason that we can do these training and tutorial webinars is the support that we get from the community at Patreon. So if you visit patreon.com/Dottotech, you can find out more. But if you want to become a patron of Dottotech, we ask for $10 a month, and for that you get 50% discount on all of our courses, deeper discounts on some of the courses, and you get access to all of the webinar archives. And we take a lot of these webinars and we add additional training content around them, and they actually become like little mini courses. And it's just a terrific resource. So I encourage you to drop by our Patreon page, have a look if you're interested. And to all of our patrons who are supporting us, thank you very much. We are here because of you. All right, yes. Let us jump in. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. Thank you for the
Of course you were agreeing. Because I am right. So let me jump into the question. So I'm going to run the questions now, and I'll answer some of them, but you're going to answer a lot of them.
Yes, bring them.
Okay,
Let's
Wally
do it.
first of all asked, aren't the videos from February and March getting back up in September? I think he's talking about our YouTube videos. Yes, we are back into publishing schedule. They'll be out very shortly. We'll be having new videos on YouTube. Kind of our new general videos will be up on YouTube. We've been really busy. It's taken me longer than I anticipated to redo the Evernote course, which is now we're just putting the finishing touches on it. And as a matter of fact, next week's webinar, which I guess April can put a link in. Next week's webinar is my favorite features in Evernote. As I've been working on and redoing that course, I've come to appreciate some things in Evernote even more acutely. So we're going to do my favorite features in Evernote. So that's coming up next week. So join us for that. Ronald says, does Agorapulse compete with Buffer, or are they different? Let me deal with that one because I use Buffer on a daily basis. Buffer is a tremendous content curation tool. Like curating content from other individuals, I find Buffer to be an exemplary tool. You can do the same with Agorapulse, but the reason that we don't use it, that we use them cooperatively rather than, and you can do many of the same things, is Agorapulse's publishing schedule. There's no way for us to easily slide the curated content, the kind of interesting things that I post on a regular basis into the schedule with Agorapulse. So Agorapulse we use for all of our self-published content, which is notification of all of our webinars, all of our self-promotional materials, as well as sharing our own generated content. We use Buffer to share OPC, other people's content. That's how we use it. I think that they are, depending on your needs, one tool could do both for you, but that's really going to be how you design and set up your own content sharing system. Jen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree completely. Like Steve said, we tried to combine and do everything in Agorapulse, and just the way that Steve likes to curate his content, it just didn't work that way. So
it works very well.
Yeah.
Marcel's asking, do you set up an account for each client that you have? No, you set up a profile. But you do it all in one account. Am I correct there, Jen?
Yeah, so you'll have your account, and then as long as you have admin access or editor access to the social profiles you want to add, you just add them under your account. Obviously, your different subscription levels, you're allowed a different amount of social profiles under your account.
And that's where the kind of the feedback that you get on the users that I was showing at the very end, where it's talking about your engaged users, becomes incredibly valuable. Because if you have multiple people sharing multiple accounts, especially if you're in an agency formula where you've got multiple clients that you maybe have 5 or 6 different Twitter profiles, being able to see the details of how the communities are reacting in each one becomes a great tool for the people that are managing those accounts. John says, does the dashboard have a mobile app to reply directly from the iPhone? Absolutely. They've got a really good mobile app, but it hasn't been refreshed with the newest functionality, so we're looking forward to the next version of the mobile app. But I used to, I do it still a little bit, but I used to do a lot of replying from the mobile app.
Yeah, and the mobile app is great for that, for replying. That's primarily what it is set up for, to keep you in communication on the go. It's not, you can publish from it, but it's not as robust as the desktop. I definitely recommend people that are publishing do the majority of your publishing. If you're out and need to push something really quick, go for it, but do your majority of your publishing on the desktop, and then the mobile app is more for maintaining that communication while you're on the go.
Now, Carly's asking, will we get locked out of Facebook from too many likes or comments via Agorapulse? I think that used to be a problem. Jen, that's not a problem anymore, is it?
Well, that's kind of a gray area, because if you're breaking Facebook's rules, we can't control what they'll do. All we do is bring your content in. Now, we haven't seen anybody being locked out for abusing the rules or things like that for Facebook likes.
Okay.
But it's kind of that gray area where you don't want to say, no, go haywire, and then they end up getting locked out because they're breaking the rules. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if you're using it straight up for publishing and posting your content kind of the way it's designed, you're probably not going to run into too much trouble, but no guarantees because it is Facebook.
Right.
Steve says, I found Twitter use seems to be declining, and is that in my imagination, or do you see it used as much as ever? I'm the wrong person to ask, because Twitter continues to grow for us, but it's not something that we feel bound to the same way as we feel bound to YouTube and Facebook. The conversations are far more transient. I think it's still growing. I think it's still relevant, and people are still, but people are not using it as much for. It's more of a marketing and broadcast medium now than a conversation medium for me.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
What are the key differences from Hootsuite? And that's a great question, because Hootsuite is probably the main competitor for Agorapulse. I find Hootsuite is a far better research tool than is Agorapulse. If you're looking to find content and to see what's happening and what's trending, I think Hootsuite is a far better tool because of the way the feeds are set up. You can do a lot of the same things in both platforms, and it really depends on which one you're most comfortable with. But Jen did share a tool that compared all of the different social dashboards, or the main social dashboard: Sprout Social, Hootsuite, Agorapulse. That'll give you a good idea. I don't think Hootsuite does as good a job managing conversations. I don't think Agorapulse does as good a job in research.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely agree with that. Hootsuite, you will not get the same content or content management, conversation management, community management out of it. It just, the way the streams are, you lose conversations pretty easily. So, but yeah, I shared that post that was written by the CEO of Agorapulse that does go through like 12 differences and similarities between Agorapulse and
There's another really good tool that was created by Ian Anderson Gray.
Yeah.
If we can find that and share that, that would be awesome. Yeah. When someone DMs you on Twitter, does that message show up in Agorapulse? Yeah, it shows up, and you can tell whether it's a direct message or not. So you can manage all those conversations in Twitter in Agorapulse very comfortably. Pricing. I don't pay. This gives me an opportunity to do a bit of a disclaimer. We're sharing Agorapulse with you. We are not an affiliate for Agorapulse. Having said that, I am an Agorapulse champion. I do have a relationship with Agorapulse, so they're not. The Dottotech brand does work very closely with Agorapulse on a variety of levels, including we make some money from Agorapulse. So we're not 100% disengaged as far as that goes, but we aren't an affiliate. We don't make money every time you purchase, for example, from Agorapulse.
Right.
But as you know, I'm going to be on the beta program. We give a lot of feedback to them, so we have an intimate relationship with them. But I don't know what the pricing is. Is it start at $49? Jen?
It does. Yep. The pricing starts at $49 and goes up until we go into customized options, but goes from $49 to $199 a month. And that just changes in that is going to be how many profiles you add, how many team members you want to have access, things like that is what's going to move you up that tier. But I just posted in that link from Ian Anderson Gray. He actually breaks it down and goes through. There's a lot of confusion on pricing with Hootsuite because they have the free level. And once you get up into higher levels of Hootsuite, it can be very expensive. So that compares Sprout Social, Hootsuite, Agorapulse, just to give you an overview of not just Agorapulse, but showing you the different costs of programs.
Yeah. Those are the dashboards that you will pay for. If you're serious about it, you're probably going to be paying for the dashboard. So
exactly.
Yeah. And you're probably going to be starting around $50 a month for all of them to get the kind of functionality that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Jim is saying, when posting to Facebook, can the post be designated to the Facebook business page? Now, this is confusing. You can't explain the limitations here, Jen, because I have to go into, I can manage my own, I can manage the Dottotech page, but I can't manage multiple other pages.
Right. So right now you cannot manage your personal profile through Agorapulse.
Okay.
That is on the roadmap, but is not developed or released yet. So yes, you can manage your Facebook business pages, but not your personal profiles.
Okay. Joe says, could you add previously scheduled stuff from Buffer to a new queue?
No.
But you can, once it's been published once, you can requeue it.
No, you need to requeue it and schedule it to be reposted before it's published. Once it's published, you don't have that ability. Buffer has that ability, but Agorapulse does not.
Got it. Connie says, how do you deal with bullies and bad language? Does it deal with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They have.
I don't have bullies.
Steve doesn't have bullies.
When people bully me or have bad language to me, I consider that to be a gift, and it ends up being they become a comment of the week because I have fun with them.
Steve doesn't know that I have moderation rules set up in his Agorapulse account either.
Do we?
So we do some, not a ton. But yes, the moderation rules are great for this. You can put in different keywords or topics that you want. If someone mentions a certain word or a phrase, if you want that to automatically be deleted or hidden from the thread, then Agorapulse goes ahead and pulls that for you.
There we go. That's good to hear. So it's basically just it never lands.
It never lands. It does land, but it gets deleted very quickly. And then also with that, then the moderation rules, you can also automatically assign a conversation to someone or tag it with a certain tag if it's, maybe this is talking about one service that you offer, or this is a customer service inquiry type thing.
Oh, good. So that becomes a really nice tool as far as being able to say if somebody's complaining about us or hashtagging, dumb dotto, then it's gonna pop, make sure that it gets to the right people that can deal with it right away.
Absolutely.
I don't know if the hashtag dumb dotto is out there, and I'm not encouraging its creation. But okay.
I wonder if we'll see it come in today.
Might well. I think awesome dotto would be better.
Hashtag awesome dotto.
There we go. Andre says you didn't mention using Pinterest as social media. What are your thoughts about Pinterest? Yeah, that's my thoughts. I don't use Pinterest. It's never been a platform that's resonated with me, and so it's never one that I've really engaged in fully.
We post to it from time to time. It's not currently available through Agorapulse. You're not able to manage it. Again, that's another feature that's on the roadmap, just not developed yet. But yeah, Dotto, we post to it when we're publishing our blog posts. We do.
Wow. Vincent Tong, is it? Here, no, what's Vincent's last name? Here in Vancouver is an excellent source for information on Pinterest, as is Jeff C., who's with Social Media Examiner. Those guys know their stuff as far as that. And another one is Peggy Fitzpatrick. She does a lot on Pinterest. Yeah, so those are all people that, if you want to learn more about marketing to Pinterest, and it's a valid community. It's just it doesn't end up in my conversation, in my wheelhouse very often. Louis says each social media has a different picture guideline. Can you post to different social medias with the same post with different picture sizes? What a great question.
That is a great question. So Agorapulse will auto format as much as it possibly can with one file. So if you upload a file and you want to post to Instagram, Google+, LinkedIn, Facebook, actually you can't do LinkedIn right now, but Twitter, it will auto format based on those sizes with the image file. So the biggest problem that I see this run into is Instagram, because it is such a different size that there are times that the photo will get chopped off and it won't work. But the ability to upload a custom photo for each platform is not available if you're mass publishing. Obviously, you could upload, publish to Facebook, upload, publish to Instagram.
Yeah, so it gives you could copy the copy from one to the other, right, and then have two different formats of picture, which would still save you time over opening each app. Absolutely. Now, let's point out something here. You mentioned that right now, LinkedIn, there's an issue with publishing. Mm-hmm. Agorapulse and all of the social networks are at the mercy of the social networks APIs, and sometimes they turn off or turn on access at different times to do different things. So often Agorapulse or Hootsuite or Buffer is going to get yelled at by us, the community, saying, I can't do this that I used to be able to do. And it's not their fault, because Facebook has changed their API or LinkedIn has changed their API, which sounds like has recently happened with LinkedIn, to turn off or restrict access because they don't necessarily love social dashboards. They'd rather you spend time on their platform where they can be advertising to you as well while you're building all of your posts. It's a convenience to us. For them, it's a lost opportunity. So there's a push-pull that's going on with these. They're not necessarily the best friends of all of the social platforms.
No, they're not. That is for sure.
Yeah. Can you manage blog posts? John is asking.
No, we don't pull comments or anything from blog posts. You can schedule blog posts if you've published them to your site. You can go to your site and use the Chrome extension and then publish it straight from there. But as far as managing comments and back and forth, no. Yeah.
So Stuart says, using Meet Edgar to schedule my tweets and LinkedIn and Facebook posts. What's the major difference in benefits going to Agorapulse? LinkedIn, Meet Edgar is a really good republishing tool where you take your existing content and you form it into buckets and you republish it. That's all that Meet Edgar does. It does not facilitate your conversation with your community in any way, shape, or form. So you're paying all that money for just republishing your content, which it's a really effective tool. I think it's the most effective tool for that one purpose, but it's a one-trick pony. Agorapulse republishes your content, but it also manages all of the conversations, and it gives you all of the analytics as well, which is what sets it apart from a Meet Edgar. Mary says, I find that the app is good for checking responses, but not for publishing. Am I missing something? Have you used the latest version, Mary? That would be my question. I think you are missing something. If you still feel really far more comfortable, like a lot of people just want to do all their publishing, in the Instagram app, or they really feel much more comfortable in the Facebook environment. But if you haven't tested out their new interface, I would spend some time with it before I rejected it.
I think she's talking about the Agorapulse app.
Oh, the mobile app?
The mobile app, yeah.
It's going to be improved. Don't worry. Just give it some time.
Yeah. It's not there yet.
Yeah, they know that they can only fix one thing at a time. That's the first thing I said to Emmerich when he showed me the new interface. I said, "What about the mobile app?" He goes, One thing at a time, Steve. One thing at a time.
Yes, exactly.
No, we want everything now.
Yeah.
Okay, Angela, these are great questions. These are
wonderful.
Really good questions. Angela, can you give some tips on how often to post in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for a one-person business? Wow.
It's going to depend on your audience, really. Mm-hmm. How receptive your audience, is it a fast-moving environment? Is it something that, if you're a local store, maybe you're updating weekly events or things like that. That's really kind of personal based on your business, your audience.
And I would say that in Facebook, regardless of who you are, between 1 and 3 posts a day is kind of where I think the threshold is personally. Yeah. In Instagram, I think
1 to 3.
1 to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Twitter, I think we do 40.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Steve goes crazy.
But so much of what we post to Twitter is not our own content. It's stuff that we find interesting and compelling that other people are interested in. So Twitter is just like we just I wouldn't say spam it, but we spend, because we're not selling that much stuff. But we're sending out stuff that people are interested in and just generating engagement through that. But of our own content, I think 1 to 3 on all those is perfect, and you'll get a sense for what is turning on and turning off your audience. That's where a tool like Agorapulse, which is managing your conversation and allowing you to really see all your conversation happen in one place. When I open Agorapulse every day, I see how many comments we have in Facebook, I see how many comments we have in Twitter, I see how many comments we have in Instagram, and I know what our publishing schedule is, and so I know how much our content publishing is affecting the conversation, which is really what I'm looking for, is engagement. So that'll give you a good sense. Daniel, I've been getting posts lately that have a little icon of me with a down arrow next to it. When I hover over it, the link says link and comment as me using my name. What does that mean? I'm really new to Facebook, and that icon doesn't appear on all posts. Why? I'm not too sure what he's talking about. Do you know?
I'm not familiar with what he's talking about either. Is he talking? Sounds like he's talking natively in Facebook.
Yeah, not too sure what's happening there. Nope, sorry.
Oh, wait, did he say link in comments?
It says, I'm getting posts lately that have a little icon of me with a down arrow next to it. When I hover over it, it says link and comment as me using my name. We have to know what platform you're
No. I know what he's talking about. So he must have, if he must have a page or something that he manages. So it's going to show so he can choose if I'm on a page and it has something that's relevant to our audience. Maybe I want to go in and comment or like as Dottotech, right? So I could choose, who do I want to interact as? Do I want to interact as me? Do I want to interact as Dottotech? What page or profile do I want to use? Yep.
Good stuff. John says, are there any free solutions like Agorapulse? Hootsuite has a free version. I'm not sure it's, and there's free trials with all of these. I'm not too sure if there are any other free social dashboards that offer free that offer free access. Howard is commenting that he thought I came a little late to the game with my comment about with my disclaimer that we have a relationship with Agorapulse, so I should have had it right off the top of the video, but fair point. Mary says, I find that apps are good for checking responses but not publishing. Okay, so now we've answered these other questions. So we've actually got two other than Natalie. Any possibility of a mini course from Steve on how you manage all of this with Agorapulse and Buffer, etc.? We sort of do. Between this webinar today and the webinar we did a couple of weeks ago on other people's content, where it's OPC, we walked you through the entire process in OPC. So Natalie, if you are a patron, let us know. But certainly the OPC webinar, if you view that again, that walks you through my entire process. And there's probably some additional content there. And we'll be, I'm sure that Sophia will be adding some additional content here in this webinar as well. But yeah, I'm sure that one is going to be more valuable than anything as far as showing you what our process is, because I walk through the entire process of what I do on a daily basis and how I use Buffer specifically for the publishing. And then when you tie that in with what you've seen here with Agorapulse, you get the real picture of what we do. So we will have that content. I'm not sure it's going to be designed separately as a mini course, but that is all available already She says
yes, she is a patron. So the OPC
So if you can't find the webinar in question, just drop us a note. And thank you for your support.
Yeah,
that's exactly why we're here. Awesome sauce. I think we are through the questions. I like being the guy running the chat.
I like answering questions. You finally let me talk.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay.
I have so much to share.
You do. Well, thank you. And you did an awesome job today, as did April, managing everything in the background. Yeah, so, folks, next week on Webinar Wednesday, we're going to be talking about Evernote, and that's going to be we're just about to release. I know there's a lot of people that have been asking about the Evernote course. It's taken me a little bit longer to put it all together. As I've changed the formatting a little bit of it, so I got halfway through that. I want to do it a different way, and so I went back and did it again. So, but we're almost done now. So we'll be actually relaunching the Evernote Made Easy course sometime in the next sometime after next week when we do our Webinar Wednesday, and there'll be a series of other webinars that you'll hear about that are not Webinar Wednesday that are going to be promotional webinars as we talk about and start launching Evernote. So that's kind of on the roadmap for Dotto Tech. Tomorrow, if you'd like, we're going to be doing our third Ask Me Anything on Facebook. They've been fun. We do about an hour, about 45 minutes to an hour, and any questions you have about any topics, we're taking on Ask Me AMA, Ask Me Anything on Facebook, and that's tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. I believe, Pacific time, and Jen will be back with us on that one there. So that's it. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the questions. Appreciate all the support to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We, as I say, we are here because of you, and we don't ever forget that. On behalf of April, Jen, I'm Steve Dotto. Till next time,